I'm joined now by Fikr Shalltoot, who is the Gaza Director for Medical Aid for Palestinians. She joins us live from Cairo. Fikr, we've been hearing about those tiny, tiny babies there. What is the plan for them? How soon might they get to Egypt and to hospitals where they can receive the medical attention that they deserve?
Oh, actually, what was reported by the Ministry of Health this morning, that they will be evacuated to through Rafah crossing today to go to Egypt. As you know, the process within Rafah itself, it's really time-consuming until you process all these babies. Until yesterday, actually, the Ministry of Health announced, they put kind of an announcement actually in the local media and through their WhatsApp group asking families of these babies to come to Rafah crossing in the morning in order to identify their babies and if they wish to join them. This was kind of a call for the mothers actually to do that. So it's going to be really problematic actually for these families to reach out to Rafah crossing, especially that some of these families are, from different locations from Gaza. Also, the poor communication inside Gaza. I don't know if this message will reach to people. And again, to identify these babies, these babies were born and then they were, the mothers were abandoned from or forced to abandon these children because they were kind of isolated inside the hospital and no one can reach to them, unfortunately. So it's, I think, the process is going to be quite lengthy, especially for these premature babies who are supposed to be referred in a safe mode in order to sustain their lives. And I have some doubts about how many of these babies will remain actually surviving after this process. Now they are staying in a hospital in Rafah, which is an intermediate hospital. So it's not like it doesn't have an ICU unit, for example, the hospital that is hosting these babies in Rafah right now. And then the process, as I mentioned, at Rafah crossing is time consuming. And then the way from Rafah to Egypt is kind of long way actually to take these babies. So I hope they will be prepared with a great number of ambulances and with the proper incubators and the source of oxygen for these babies in order to be able to evacuate them safely as much as they can. But I don't anticipate the process is going to be easy or short. It's going to be a really long process.
So still quite an ordeal for these tiny young children to go through, Fikr. And what about, we've been hearing about shelling at the Indonesian hospital. What's the situation there? And is there a possibility that another evacuation like the one that we saw at Shifa will take place there?
Well, honestly, what's happening in Indonesian hospital, according to what I heard again from people from the Ministry of Health and people inside the hospital, that they were not asked to leave at this stage, and that they were kind of surprised, to see that tanks shellings is taking place in the hospital again. There was no previous warning, this is going to happen. 12 people were killed so far, and plenty of people are injured, and there is more than 1,000 people inside the hospital. I'm not sure about the number of internally displaced families as well inside that hospital. As you know, this hospital is out of service. It's been announced out of service for very long right now, and the patients there actually are not receiving any proper care. However, actually, the hospital remain open as people go inside, injuries are referred to the hospitals, but they are not even receiving a minimum care because the hospital itself did not receive any medical supplies since very long time now. And the medical personnel inside the hospital, they were really exhausted. They've been there for very long. Many of them, they've been injured or affected, and they couldn't actually continue providing any source of, any type of care given the lack of the resources and the the setting itself inside the hospitals that they've been receiving patients and trying to support them on the floor and in the corridors while the bombardments are ongoing and the shelling happening in the hospitals. So it's far from ideal, and far from, even the provision of any minimum care to these patients and to people inside the hospital. It was also reported, that there is no water at all inside the hospital. So it's really difficult for these people, to continue surviving with the lack of water and the scarce of food and the lack of medical supplies and the uncertainty about what's going to happen to them, unfortunately, given this critical situation right now.
Fikr Shalltoot from Medical Aid for Palestinians, thank you so much for that information and for joining us today.